Hello? Okay. Request for variance, Scheidel Sign and Lighting Services LLC, applicant on behalf of C4 C-Store Holdings 3 LLC is requesting a variance from Article 2, Section 2.7 of the Fairfield County Land Management Ordinance Number 599. The gas station is located at 10962 State Highway 200, Winsboro, South Carolina, 29180 on tax map number 040-00-00-012-000. Is there a staff presentation?
So as Mike said, Scheidel Sign and Lighting Services on behalf of C4 C-Store Holdings is requesting a variance from Article 2, Section 2.76 of the Fairfield County Land Management Ordinance, which is in regards on monument signs and related to a proposed gas station on 10962 State Highway 200. The proposed gas station, located on 10962 State Highway 200 in Winsboro, South Carolina, is partially located in the Design Overlay District along the I-77 corridor. The applicant is proposing signage that exceeds the height and area restrictions as allowed in the Overlay District, which are set forth in the Article 2, Section 2.76. The area surrounding the proposed usage has seen limited residential development, and approving the variance would not greatly impact the local residents. The adjacent pilot truck stop has an existing high-rise and pylon sign, and as such, approving the variance would not create an abnormality in the area. Back to you, Mike.
Thank you. Applicant presentation.
Oh, man, I'm just here to answer questions. There's something I need to add, but that's our take is we were requesting a additional freestanding sign for the customers that will be traveling on Highway 200. We are allowed one freestanding sign per the code that will serve interstate traffic. This is a unique site, just as the other two are, that they have two customer bases. One being interstate traffic and the other being the Highway 200 traffic. So
the first sign, the 50-foot sign, is the one on 77, correct?
Yes, sir. It has to be tall enough to be seen from the interstate.
30-foot sign is the one right off 200.
Yes, sir.
If you check in your binders, in the back, you'll see designs of the sign. So the 50-foot monument sign, that's the one that'll be up on I-77. And then it's 30 foot, is that right, Jason?
30 foot.
30 feet will be the one on Highway 200.
P2 is how it's labeled there. It's in yellow since we were requesting the variance. P1 is the 50-footer. Very similar in design, just bigger scale.
Right. And this is right across from the pilot station, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anybody have any questions?
I did have some questions. Thank you very much. Because this is in the Design Overlay District, aren't there some different regulations about the signage specifically in our land management plan for that area?
Yeah, and that's what they're requesting the variance from. So within the Design Overlay District, it allows for one monument sign. So the 50-foot monument sign and the 30-foot monument sign would be competing with that. So that's why they're applying for the variance, to allow for both. And within the overlay district, the language lays out area restrictions in terms of height, in terms of all of our area that the signs are allowed to have, and both signs are in excess of that.
So my question is why we're looking at, why are those other locations out of compliance with the regulations? How did they get special permission to have their signs?
So they fall within the 500 feet overlay district, and this property only follows a portion of it. So there's different regulations that apply. With the 500 feet within the I-77, the regulations are looser than outside of it. But since this property is like about halfway, P1 falls inside the 500 feet, P2 does not. So it falls outside of that regulation. The other one, for example, the pilot sign across the street, falls within the overlay district and is approved because it's within the I-77 corridor.
So that's the variance they're asking for, is because they're just outside of it. They have to have the variance.
So
in order.
P1, it falls just within the 500 feet of the I-77 district, and then P2 is just outside of it. So they're requesting the variance because P2 is outside of the I-77 corridor. The measurement is 500 feet from the right-of-way.
But y'all own the 150 acres around this entire site, right? Or the property that's owned?
The site plan shows the store. Now, I'm not really sure the ownership of all of it. I can only speak to what's on the site plan there for the store.
Because I'm pretty sure it's 150 acres is part of this property.
It is, yeah, so,
I think Beth, on the sheet that we got in our packet, is it got the
Yeah.
whole plat there? the
yeah,
whole
that's right. So
property?
the plan is for the gas station, that'll be on 6.27 acres. So the variance would apply to those 6.27 acres. But if you look on the GIS right now, it's part of a larger 150 acre tract because the property owner has yet to finalize the sale to 7-Eleven for the gas
So,
station.
from what I recall, and I travel that corridor twice a day, both the Pilot and the Shell have tall signs and smaller signs.
That's right.
And so the variance here is just, unfortunately, where the location of this is, can we give the variance to allow that?
That's right. It's because it falls outside the 500 feet. Yeah.
So within, I see, I was confused. Within the DOD, the, whatever it is, the design overlay thing, then it's okay to have the signs. The size of the signs is what I'm interested in, curious about. Is there not something about the overall size of the signs? Let me see if I can find where I had marked that.
Yeah, they've got it on the drawings, what's proposed
Well,
and what's
I
allowed.
think what she's asking about, do we limit the
Yeah,
size?
so within the I-77 corridor, that answer is no. It's really assumed that it'll go based on industry standards, with the monument signs. It's when it falls outside of the 500 feet from the right-of-way, which is the design overlay district, that's when the sign regulations come into place, where you can't have more than one monument sign, and the area is limited to 8 feet in height or cannot exceed 20 square feet in area. So they already have one monument sign there that happens to be within the DOD district, so that one's fine. But the second one, the P2, would create a second monument sign on the property, so they need a variance for that. And approving this variance would approve them to allow them to do a second monument sign at P2, in addition to exceeding the height and area restrictions for the P2, because it falls outside of the DOD district.
It's all about P2 then.
That's right. Yeah, it's all about P2.
And how far outside the district is it? You know exactly.
Can you touch on that, Jason?
I don't have a specific measurement to that, no, but we could probably get that relatively easy. I didn't anticipate that being one of the questions.
That one question you didn't expect somebody to ask.
I say I can go get my laptop and pull out the CAD program and we can measure it out.
Just ballpark, way out, we just barely.
Well, I mean, with it being on the property, I mean, I would assume way out would not apply. I mean, we're close just because the property is.
But, and again, not to go back, it is directly across from the Pilot station, right?
Yes, sir. And I've got photos, I've got copies of the Pilot signage and the Shell signage, if you'd like to see them, in case there's some question about,
Well, and I guess what I'm trying to come up with is, if it's right across, and I know they've got tall signs, that, that.
Yes, sir.
That's kind of what I'm looking at.
Yeah, I'm happy to.
And I know they've got them over there an hour ago.
So I still am confused about the page 28, signage. Signage permitted in the design overlay district shall be limited. The monument sign shall not exceed 20 square feet in area or 8 feet in height. And that's in the design overlay district? I don't understand that. I mean, It seems like to me, we've got a major problem with what's already there. Is that, am I reading this wrong? Somebody clear this up for me. And the only thing that, oh, I know all about those. I live right around the corner. So y'all don't understand what my
Okay,
confusion
so
is on this?
The other
If-
businesses do fit the criteria that.
So if you look at the
How
language,
so? Okay,
there's
go
a
ahead.
separation between the design overlay district and then ones that specifically fall within 500 feet of the I-77 right-of-way.
So
So,
the I-7, within the I-77 right-of-way is not the overlay district? Because I thought the I-70 corridor was the overlay district. So the overlay district is the other highways, but
So-
not 77?
yeah, so there's design overlay district, which is along major corridors.
Right.
And then there's specifically 500 feet from the I-77, which does fall within the DOD, but does not meet those regulations, because if you read it, it says except for temporary signs covered by section 5.5 and
the
signs located within
the
500 feet.
Okay, okay.
So this
that's-
P2 sign
okay,
is outside of the 500 feet.
Okay,
So it's
So-
like an overlay on top of an overlay.
okay. So
Because it's 500 feet.
everything within the other two truck stop signage things is within the 500 feet?
Within the 500 feet, yeah. So this one is a little bit more of an elongated property, so if you look at where the pilot is, this is extending past the property line of where the pilot, and that P2 sign happens to fall just outside of the 500 feet. So it falls within the design overlay district, but not within the 500 feet
And,
from the I-77.
Thank you, okay.
and so the shell sign and the pilot sign, they're both within 500 feet of the corridor or the highway?
Of the I-77 right-of-way. Yep.
I mean, the shell sign for the other side, Winsboro owns, I believe, if that'd be real close to it's a lot farther back off the road. I don't know where the right of way is, 'cause that's always a little
I
bit.
was kind of wondering that myself, but that one is way back.
Yeah,
but-
that's way back.
And then and I guess you got two different things. You got the main sign, the tall sign we got, and then the monument sign.
The language doesn't really touch on classification of monument sign, it's just monument sign. So it's really both of them, yeah. Yeah. On the other one, I mean, I didn't measure it, but within the pilot, this assumed it falls within 500 feet. And since this one, the P2 is just outside of the 500 feet, still within design overlay district, but outside of the 500 feet measurement, that's why the
Which is
variance.
designed specifically for traffic on I-77 to be able to see it.
Yeah,
But
major
so they're good-
corridors,
So
yeah.
they've got the sign, they're gonna have no problem with a sign that's tall enough to be seen and advertised from
Mm-hmm.
the interstate. All right, but what they're wanting is another freestanding sign out toward Highway 200.
That's right, so the 50-foot, the P1, that falls within 500 feet of the right-of-way, that's the 50-foot tall, right? The P2, other monument sign is 30 feet, that is outside of the 500 feet, so it does fall within the design overlay district, but it doesn't fall within 500 feet. So that exceeds the area requirements on what you're reading
Okay.
in terms of area, in terms of height,
But it basically matches one right across the street.
yeah, where the pilot is.
Yeah. And then the pilot's big sign looks like it's 100 feet tall.
No,
It's probably 175 feet
At
tall.
least. Okay, all right, so,
Now-
so what is the argument for our granting this variance? I mean, if another business comes, on down the next place, oh, well, this one next door to me has got a sign that's out, I need one too. What's the compelling
Well,
reason?
For me, it's customer base, and both of the sites that we're talking about serve interstate traffic and, Highway 200 traffic, we'll call them. And when we put the sign at the interstate, perpendicular to the interstate, you won't be able to see it from Highway 200 because it'll be parallel with it, not perpendicular. Same reason the pilot needed one, needed two signs, and the Shell needed two signs because they serve two different customers, and they'll be oriented in two different directions.
So if you look at the GIS property card in the back, Harry, you'll see that the property lines, this property is directly adjacent to the I-77 right away.
Right.
So the property line goes up to it. Now,
Yeah.
the location of where the gas station is being proposed is just slightly off, which is why a portion of it falls outside the 500 feet. But at some point, you're right, I mean, there's gonna have to be a cutoff point as to how far down the road you go. Is it just one parcel over? Is it two parcels over? Is it based on footage?
And we have to think about, why the restriction is placed there in the first place. There's a reason not to clutter up the world with the signage, and I don't know, it's a truck stop, it's a big gas station, it's not like you're gonna miss it coming down 200.
Well, but it just, in my point of view, I think too, that a lot of the signage rules and regs are based on residential and what might move in and what is moved in, and, how much that affects, where you are and what you live at. And that's why I asked about the 150 acres, because he's got probably another mile length of property down 200 away from the highway. So, I mean, I would think that. Now, has the project already started?
No, and I can't think of another business 2 or 3 properties over that may want to serve an interstate traffic, I guess.
There's a motocross place another mile or so down the road, and there's some stuff going
Yeah,
on.
I mean,
Not big at this point. Well, okay.
For us, the price of fuel is important to be competitively pricing it at the street for each customer base. That we have to legally advertise the price of fuel if you sell it in North Carolina, and I'm in South Carolina. So the price of fuel, getting that on the street is different than maybe just your brand on the street,
Right, so the gas sign is different from just,
Yes, ma'am.
here's a grocery store kind of thing.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, to touch on what you mentioned, Mike, so, yeah, the overall property is currently 150 acres because the property owner they've not gone through the closing to close on the 6.27 acres, but there is additional property left over. It is zone B2, General Business District, so any general business use can't go on an adjacent site.
Right.
Now, if that's gonna be a use that's gonna cater directly to I-77 traffic, I mean, who knows at that point in time, but that's when, they might apply for a variance again, and at that point it'll have to come forward. And then you just have to determine where that cutoff point is.
Where the creek stops.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any questions?
I'd like to make a motion that we go ahead and vote on this variance.
Is there a motion to vote on the variance?
I'll make a motion to vote on the variance.
Second?
Second.
All in favor of granting this variance, please raise your hand. All opposed? Variance is carried. Good luck. I don't think we've got anything else tonight. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second? Motion's carried.